So for this year's STEAM Fair project, we researched on this very polluted body of water called the Gowanus Canal, and we worked on many graphs relating to it to inform people how polluted it is, and yeah.
So we came up with this topic because my grandmother grew up next to the canal, and as she was living there, she was describing to me how hard it was to live there due to pollution and how it just affects her.
We collected various graphs off the internet, and in the first one you could see that it shows various animals that people normally consume on the daily, but because of the toxicity of the canal, you cannot eat the animals because of what they consume. It would affect the human too, and if you did eat it, you'd have to be a specific age in order to consume it.
So this graph over here is showing us the amounts of toxic chemicals found inside the Gowanus Canal, and as you can see, there is not that high of a count of benzene, which is normally used in cars. The highest count of toxic chemicals found in the Gowanus Canal is naphthalene and 2-methylnaphthalene, which naphthalene can cause like destruction to your red blood cells, and 2-methylnaphthalene can cause eye irritation and lung problems if one comes in contact with it, which shows it's really negative to someone's health.
In our third graph, it's very small, it's at the bottom. It shows the Gowanus Canal compared to different bodies of water in New York City, and you can see that it's labeled as unacceptable because the others, they don't have as much pollution or garbage in them than the Gowanus Canal because it's one of the most polluted sites in New York.
We also wanted to see how it affects the people that live next to the canal, so we conducted an experiment to see how proximity plays in your effect of the canal. So we tested 4 locations with different proximities to the canal, and the highest one actually was the closest to the canal and the lowest was the furthest.
So there were 2 reports that showed that a dolphin and a whale swam into the canal and a day later died because of how contaminated and intoxicated the water was. And in 2012, Hurricane Sandy had hit, and many of the homes that were near the canal were flooded and people had to evacuate because if one comes in contact with the water, it can lead to serious health problems.
People have tried to clean out the canal before. Barrages were made to carry out toxic loads, but some have leaked and went back into the canal. Here we have pictures of part of the canal being drained. As you can see at the bottom, there's black tar, which what they call is the black mayonnaise, and it's all the settlements of the chemicals after many of years, and it's really hard to clean out. And there's other pictures of the top of the canal where there's trash and chemical residue. And there's an organization already trying to clean out the canal, and it's called FRED. It stands for Floating Robot for Eliminating Debris. We think this will not be as efficient because we will need a lot of the robots and the cost will be immense.
There are also a bunch of microorganisms that are found in the canal that adapted to living in the canal because they had to learn how to live in the toxic environment. And if the EPA ever decided to clean out the canal fully, then the microorganisms would die because they wouldn't know how to survive in the quote-unquote clean water.
So as you can see here, this is our model. Our model would be implemented every 0.2 miles of the 1.8 mile long canal and would consist of a two-layer filtration system. The first being a hollow fiber membrane technology, so basically a thick cloth that has 0.2 micron wide pores that would collect all the solid pollution. And then the second part would be a reverse osmosis system that would basically use pressure to take out all of the chemicals and compress them all down and let all the clean water molecules through.
As I've mentioned before, the FRED, the cleaning robots, will be hard to fund, but if our solution is funded properly, it will be cheaper than the already existing solutions.
As you can see, water pollution is a great issue in our world, and mostly in New York because of the amount of people throwing garbage into our waters. Not only does it affect humans, it can also affect organisms living inside the waters. And if people pay more attention to the Gowanus Canal, maybe it could be a beautiful place as it once was.
fossil fuels are being burned for electricity, and when fossil fuels are burned, it makes air pollution. So a way to solve this problem is our solar panels. The most commonly known fact about solar energy is that it represents a clean source of energy. Solar power is a great way to reduce your carbon footprint. There is nothing about solar power that pollutes nature. Solar power doesn't release any greenhouse gases. It's safe and fine for the environment, yet people doubt that solar energy is good for the environment. Traditional electricity relies on heavy fossil fuels such as coal and natural gas. Not only are they bad for the environment, they are non-renewable resources. How I use the engineering design process is I brainstormed some ideas that I could do, and the first thing that popped into my mind was to make an AC, but I didn't know how that would help the environment, so I added solar panels on top of them, so it would be better for the environment. My plan was to use just to use the foam and place it on top, and I thought that was a little unrealistic because solar panels are normally leaning on something. So I added that, and then I added the battery banks so I would be able to store the power. My design works because I accomplished the goal of following my constraints and criteria, and that people can use it in the real world. Good for people that live in apartment buildings, because if you live in a house, you could just put solar panels on your roof. But in an apartment building, everybody has to agree for the solar panels, and it won't save you a lot of money in your electricity bill, because it's shared between many people. If you use my design, your electricity bill is on an average of $233. That is $2,796 per year. So my design would save a lot of money, especially during the summer.